If you've noticed that pushing harder doesn't bring clarity anymore and trying to force answers just makes you more tense, this video is for you. A lot of capable women are reaching this point when what used to work doesn't anymore in the way that it used to. You're still functioning, still responsible, still showing up. This isn't about doing less, caring less, or lowering your standards. By the end of this video, you'll understand why effort starts backfiring during change and what actually helps instead. And see the thing that most people don't realize, that when we lose clarity, the first thing that we lose is not confidence, but is certainty. And when certainty disappears, effort almost always goes up. When things start to feel out of control, what most people reach for is certainty. They want to know the answer, the plan, the right move. That certainty can feel like clarity, but most often it actually acts as a way to stop the discomfort. Certainty lives in the mind, but what usually disappears is something else. It's your inner stability. Instability has a particular feeling in the body. It's usually some holding in the shoulders, keeping yourself together, maybe some tension in the face, tightness in the jaw, a sense of being on guard or a constant sense of tension, waiting for something to go wrong. You might notice yourself making decisions not because they feel right, but because you want the discomfort in your body to stop. Stability feels different. It feels like not knowing what will happen and still be able to be in your body anyway. You may still be scared. You may still lack the answers, but you're not panicking. Over time, some women start paying attention to this difference. They don't wait until they are certain. They wait until their body has settled, and then they can decide. This distinction only becomes visible once your nervous system stops being constantly on guard. When clarity disappears, effort might feel like being responsible. Working harder can feel like leadership, like doing the right thing. A lot of my clients describe this moment like being in motion, longer days, more optimization, trying to push through the fog. But have you noticed what happens to your perception when you start doing that? The harder you push, the smaller your world gets. Your thinking tightens. Your awareness narrows. It becomes harder to notice what's actually happening. And in that state, something subtle gets missed. Sometimes it can show as a hesitation that you can't explain, a moment of quiet resistance, a moment of not quite yet, not strong enough to justify stopping, but present enough to be able to feel it. Most people override this moment, not because they're wrong, but because it doesn't feel actionable. It doesn't come with instructions. It doesn't tell you what to do next. It's just information. That hesitation isn't asking you to act. It's asking you to pause long enough to register. I'm going to call this a signal. For now, just notice the experience. A signal doesn't replace your thinking, and it doesn't cancel your responsibility. It simply gives you a more accurate read of what your system is reacting to before it takes over. When effort is driving, everything gets louder, and the signal can get drowned out. But when your body and your attention settle, even slightly, this quieter information becomes available again. And that's what allows for better decisions to emerge without forcing it. Most people stay focused on outcomes. What's next? What's the plan? What can I do to move ahead, move the needle? But when things feel uncertain, usually the urge to act is the urge to stop this discomfort in waiting. Have you ever known, at some level, that it wasn't time, but you acted anyway, just to make the discomfort stop? That's how force shows up. But timing doesn't respond to force. Timing is sensed, not mentally, but physically. There's a felt readiness, a quiet sense of rightness. Until that arrives, waiting is not indecision, it's responsiveness. From the outside, it can look like hesitation, but internally, something is aligning. Over time, This requires letting go of the idea that your life is as moving in a straight line, in a constant forward motion. Nothing healthy grows on command. And when you stop trying to command timing, to push outcomes at work and in your personal life, trust begins to return. When things feel unclear, women also start looking for approval, reading the room, saying what they think is going to land well, trying to keep things smooth. It works until it doesn't. Over time, there is a cost. You might notice it as a headache after a seemingly successful meeting, a tightness in your chest, a quiet sense that something didn't quite line up. Coherence feels different. It's not about certainty, it's about integration. And by that, I mean, that moment when there's no gap between what you say and what your body knows. You might not have the 5-year plan and you might not know how everything will unfold, but you're not splitting inside under pressure. I've heard my clients talk about this moment as in feeling solid within themselves, even when they don't have the answers. They're no longer checking to see if they're approved. They're paying attention whether their actions are matching what they know it's true. And paradoxically, this is what other people start to trust, not because you're pushing harder, but because you're feeling steady inside yourself. When this shift doesn't happen, the problem usually isn't collapse, but it's motion, constant swirling motion, meetings, projects, decisions. From the outside, it can look like a great momentum like leadership. But if you look closely, inside, exhaustion slowly starts replacing your inner orientation. Effort becomes the strategy. And each time something feels off, you push harder to make that signal go quiet. But over time, something subtle starts happening. The body learns that its signals aren't welcome. They don't get louder. They start getting lost in the background of the constant noise. And that's when women start saying, I don't know what I want anymore. I can't tell what's right. I should be happy, but I feel disconnected. Nothing is wrong on paper, but inside, an essential part of you has gone quiet. On the other hand, when this shift starts to happen, it's not a dramatic move, but you might sense an ease on the urgency, less scrambling, less pressure to prove anything, not because you care less, but because you are stopping the fight and aligning with your own intelligence and system. What changes is not your personality, but is what you respond to. You stop reacting to anxiety as if it were reality. You wait long enough for your body to settle, even briefly, before you decide. Over time, this changes how you move. You make fewer moves, but you're more precise. You don't force timing. You actually respond to things when they feel ready. This isn't something you're born with or a mindset to adopt. It's a capacity that develops every time you don't override yourself. Each time you pause before pushing, each time you wait for yourself to arrive before you make your next move. This is what often people mistake for confidence and presence, but it's actually a different orientation and it's learnable. This is a kind of resilience most people miss, not toughness, not pushing through, but the capacity to stay with yourself when clarity disappears without compensating or collapsing. That's what allows this inner orientation to return. If this resonates, like or subscribe. This channel is for women who are showing up, are still performing, but are quietly feeling exhausted from making decisions that don't feel right. You're not falling apart. You're learning how to move differently. Hey, one more thing before you go. If you watched this and felt a quiet, yep, that's it. But you don't really know what to do with that yet. That's okay. I'm in a listening season right now and speaking with women like you who might be in this space. No pressure, no fixing, just talking it through. If that sounds helpful, find the link below.